What if, babe, if you were gonna murder me, what would you use?
My hands.
Fucking knew it. Why don't you ever use your hands in the bedroom? What's good, YouTube? It is your boy Thesis, aka Thesis himself, from VapingWithThesis. That's right, God bless it. Now, look, bitches, today we've got the Asmodus Lustro Kodama. This is a beautiful rendition of the already built Lustro. So if you're familiar with the Lustro kit that we had a while back, it is a phenomenal mod. I like the chipset. I wasn't a huge fan of the metal, only because when I think of Asmodus, I think of like high-end woodwork. So that's kind of where I was coming from. And the fact that they came out with the Kodama means that all my expectations were eventually met, especially with that aged bronze copper look. It's fucking gorgeous. With that being said, my Ninja Kitties, huge shout out to the Patreons of the Patreon page. Thank you guys so much. Live every Thursday at 9:45 p.m. and every Saturday at 9 p.m. Make sure to keep an eye out, hit that notification button. Make sure you hit my ass up on all social media. With that being said, fuck the small talk. Let's go and get up close and personal with the Asmodus Lustro Kodama, son. Welcome to Up Close and Personal with your boy Thesis. Now real quick, my Ninja Kitties, today we've got the Asmodus Lustro Kodama edition. Let me just stop the bullshit and open her up. Usually I'd go over the box, but you can see how beautiful the box is. Look at that. This is something where if you pay 330 bucks for it, you know you paid 330 bucks for it. First, we see the cable right here. I wish it was a little bit longer. In fact, this is pretty fucking skimpy for it being a $350 device or $330 device. But I can't complain. It's a USB-C, which I do prefer to see in our industry. It is faster. USB-C tends to be a much better option than just a micro USB. Although, I will say that it is nice when all the devices you run all rock the same exact chip, or same exact cord rather. Micro, so it's nice to have that universal cord being able to lay around and you just plug it in and fucking let it work. Although, like I said, USB-C is probably the way to go and the way of the future. So then of course we got the mod itself. We pop this bad boy out. Look how beautiful this is. That beautiful Vikings fucking purple, that beautiful Prince purple. Fuck the Patriots, I'm just saying. Okay, so now with that, we'll set that aside real quick. The rest of the box, we got some open cell foam at the bottom. And then of course we got our manual. If you're familiar with the Lustro, regular Lustro 200 watt, same shit, but look how high end this manual is. The manual in and of itself is so detailed. It's like a little booklet. I have to take like 3 or 4 shits and read this whole thing in order for me to get it. It's beautiful. We got the battery damage card and then Asmodus's 30-day warranty right there. I have used Asmodus's warranty specifically with, where is it? The pumper. It's one of my favorite devices of all time. The pumper squonk box. This bad boy actually got juice on the cord, but at the time, before I took it apart, I didn't realize that it had juice on the between the buttons, the connections on the buttons. So it was auto firing. I hit him up. They were going to send out a new one. I ended up by taking it apart, realized that there was juice on it, but they were going to send it out and they gave a prepaid shipping label for me to send this one back so they can kind of evaluate it. I just wanted to mention that because it's not something you always see in our industry. I'm just glad that someone's going to pay that much money for a high-end device, that they at least get some good customer service. As I'm throwing this back together, I do want to mention something else about the box. A lot of people don't realize that the center of the Asmodus symbol is actually perfect for a 510 thread right there. What I might end up by doing is making a resistance meter out of this box. Throw an 18650 down there, throw a little screen that shows the resistance reading, and then it's like a little build deck. I fucking like that. It's adorable. Now, why does this cost as much as it does? 330 bucks is not chump change. The biggest reason being is because it's handcrafted wood. It's stabilized wood or stab wood. Stab wood is basically wood that's literally been stabilized with acrylic. You use it with epoxy. You can dye it, all sorts of type of shit, and it makes it look gorgeous. I'll give you another example right here. This is the Minikin Kodama 2. This fucking thing is ridiculous. Look at that. That's acrylic, that's dye, it's all beautifully epoxied over. Let's go and show you this one. This is one that's a dull matte finish. Fucking sexy. Oh, this one doesn't have the poly, this one does. If you look at this, you can see the difference in that shine. Oh my God, that's gorgeous. Now me, myself, personally, I do prefer the polyurethane. I do prefer the sheen. I like the shininess of it. The downside of that is I'll show you some of my ones that I've been using for years right here. Look at the shine on there, but you're gonna see some small scratches and small chipping that you wouldn't notice. There we go. You see all those little chips? That's chips in the clear coat. This isn't something that would happen on something like this. So I'm actually really glad that they give you the option to have one that's matte, that's unfinished, does not have that poly over it, versus one that's got that clear coat. Now, personally, again, I prefer the clear coat. I'm okay with this kind of wear and tear, especially if I'm going to be using it the way I've used these two. But I'm also just glad that they have the option to not have it if you don't want it. So take a look at the bottom. Asmodus, I love that symbol. You pop this open like that. It's spring loaded. You do see the negative and the positive right there. I do wish on a device like this that they had the negative and positive, or vice versa, on the bottom of these holes of your batteries. Dual 18650, this is not something where I would recommend for it being your first device. This is definitely an advanced mod. This is, again, something you don't want to fuck up with. You don't want to drop it, you don't want to mess it up like that. This is definitely a collector piece. Positive, minus, and this battery door is as solid as a battery door can get. It's really difficult to push that spring down and then back. When you do that, hit the button 5 times. It's going to ask you whether or not they're married or damaged. You'll see the logo right there, and you got yourself up and running. I'm going to be rocking the Bunker RDA by Asmodus right here. I will have this review up of the Bunker. It's not my world's favorite single coil RDA, but it's definitely a flavor monster. Let's go and take a puff at 75 watts. Whew, she's beautiful, but I do got to drip real quick. Huge shout out to Hometown Hero. They did send this up for me. This is my favorite liquid by them. It's my favorite Apple I've ever tried. Period. End of sentence. If you all Ninja Kitties have some Apple suggestions, hit me up in the comment section below. I will check that liquid out. Sexy as fuck. Hawkeyes, my Ninja Kitties. Now the first thing you're going to see is the facade. This is called antique copper. Again, for me, myself personally, I love a beautiful patina that's on this. Sometimes I like the brushed brass like that, brushed stainless like that with the chrome button. Like I was saying, this is stab wood. This is a perfect collector's piece, not something I would suggest you take out in the shop. I'm just gonna let you guys know my daily experience with this device was anxiety stricken. When I would bring this into the garage, into the shop, I'd be out and about, whether I'd be plowing, it doesn't matter what it is. I tend to live a pretty active lifestyle, especially doing stuff and working with my hands. This is not a device I would ever use for those things. I did it only because I'm reviewing it. With that being said, I did have a major accident with this device. I did end up by dropping this onto the concrete, and it wasn't just once, it was twice. The second time that I dropped it, my fucking heart sank. Nothing. There's absolutely nothing that I can tell. I can't even tell where I dropped it. I don't know if it was on the top. I don't know if it was on the bottom. It was in my hands. I was walking, and then gagoosh, swaggity bamps. That motherfucker just hit the ground. I for sure thought I broke it. That is the exception. 9 times out of 10, if you drop one of these, you will break it. I want to show you guys exactly what stab wood looks like when it's broken. You're going to see this crack right there. This crack, this whole piece came completely off, and same with right there. You can see it. Just like that. That's not a dig against Asmodus. In fact, that is exactly what you can expect with any wood device. Any device that's got these creases, that's got this grain, that beautiful grain, you're giving up durability. That's just the fact of the matter. Take a look right here, same shit. Now this one never came apart. I never had to glue it because this side never actually cracked. That is the type of shit you can expect if you drop it. These are just beautiful pieces to look at, to use. They're extremely accurate in terms of their wattage, all that kind of good stuff. Okay, my Ninja Kitties. Now in terms of overall build quality, like I was saying, it's perfect. The 510 is beautiful. It's silky smooth, zero noise. The only downside about the build I don't like is the fact that it's not symmetrical. If you take a look down the middle, this side looks one way, this side looks one way. This corner is a lot smaller than the other side. This one comes and bumps out. It's a perfect square. 3 sides are identical. This side comes in a lot more. If you're obsessive compulsive and you like your shit to be completely symmetrical, this is not the device for you. Sexiness. Let's go ahead and talk about the chipset quick. So again, this chipset I'm not going to spend too much time with because the Lustro 200 watt, that has been out for quite some time, and it's basically the identical chipset as the regular Lustro, just in a different suit, if you will. This right here, you're going to see on the side, that's your LEDs. Every time you take a hit, it shows your ramp up speed. Now, if you want to change your ramp up speed, it's as simple as going into the menu, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you got that right there. Now I do have the touch setting on and the wave setting on, so all I got to do is wave my hand over it like this, and it's going to change. Now I don't like doing this. The sensor is at the top, and I did this on my camera so you guys can see it. So you see that little dot. That's an infrared dot that you have on your TV, what you got on your PlayStation, what you got on Xbox Connect. It's just an infrared light using as a proximity sensor. It's actually pretty dope. It's the same exact way that an iPhone works. If you look here up at the top, that is a proximity sensor looking for my face to actually unlock it. That does take up a little bit more battery. Same with if you're using it like this, it's just going to take up more battery. Just expect that to happen. So the battery life with that on is not the greatest. The way to turn that feature off is as such. Turn this on, you swipe up just like that from the locked home screen. You're going to see the hand. Turn that hand off, cycle between either or. And then of course, if you do this like that, you also see the flashlight at the bottom. Click it for on, click it for off, which is actually kind of badass. I haven't seen that since What the fuck flashlight was that? The Davpo way back in the day that had a fucking flashlight on the bottom of it? I actually find that flashlight super useful. I think it's kind of cool that it's there. Okay, so my Ninja Kitties. Now in terms of the power, that's where I like to stay. 1, 2, 3. Click that 75. And you can adjust it from there. And then of course, you see that, that's the soft. You can go up like that. It's gonna hit neutral. Go up again, it's gonna hit high. Now, anytime I use a touch screen like this on a device, 9 times out of 10, it's kind of a bitch to use. As beautiful and as perfect as this mod may be in terms of the way it performs, touch screens on devices like that, especially that are this small, are just a hassle to use. Period. End of sentence. I'm old school. I like there to be physical tactile buttons. I like physical tactile buttons. Once you get used to it, that's when this thing starts to shine. It's when you first begin to use this bad boy that it becomes frustrating, especially when it's got that gesture setting turned on. It's just kind of a bitch to see. Again, it's super cool. I'm glad that we're capable of doing that, but at the same time, it's not necessary. In my opinion, you can't ask for a better feature list. This thing has exactly what you would want in any given device. Let's unlock that bad boy. Let's go and cycle through. TFR, you can also adjust between wattage as well as a temp right there. TCR, curve, temp, and then back to power. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In terms of the menu setting, it's pretty simple. Just literally just gesture it to the left or the right, or if you're using the touch screen, you just touch it and go left or right. We've got the power that's going to cycle on and off. Here's the way you reset your puffs. That's your puff counter. Your eco mode, on or off right there. That's going to be the way that you update this bad boy in terms of firmware. This one here is going to be your ramp up. Click on that. We're at medium, fast, slow. Keep that bitch at fast, son. This is your LED in terms of it being on or off. Right here, the speed LED is what they call it. Your LED color. They only have 3 colors, blue, green, and red. I wish that they had purple to fucking match, damn it, or like a goldish color. That'd be dope as shit. This one's going to be your screen brightness. Goes from 1 to 10. Lock, this is going to be whether or not you want the screen to be unlocked by a click or a series of 3 clicks, or if you want it to be unlocked by a slide. Personally, I prefer the clicks. That's just myself. 1, 2, 3 like that. It just seems a little bit more tactile, even though it's not. This one I believe is your screen timeout. I keep it at 10 seconds regardless. And then your resistance, which of course you can adjust. That's gonna be more for temp control though. Let's go and go back to this way. And that's the whole menu system as it is. Now, like I was saying, this is a perfect customizable device. If you are into temp control, if you're into TCR, TCF, your curve, all that type of shit, you can delve into each one of those parameters as deeply as you want. Each one of those modes has memories for each one. So you could literally have a memory for each one of your RDAs, each one of your tanks, and vice versa. It just goes on forever. Now, with all of those features, I do wish it was a little bit easier to navigate. It's a bitch and a half to go through each one of those modes with a screen that's less than 2 inches. It's ridiculous. And the gesture mode, again, same thing. If you're into power, if you're just into the power settings, that's where I'm at. That to me is where this thing shines, specifically because I don't have to go through a bunch of shit to get it to work. I just love the device. Once my shit is set up in terms of settings, I don't ever think about it again. This mod feels like you're holding something special. It's got that X factor that I like to see in any mod. Whew, she's drier than none pussy. Absolutely sexy. The button's super clicky. I do like to see that on a regulated device. Again, that's kind of subjective. That's depending upon who you are. The 510 threads are as smooth as you could expect on a high-end device. I wish that this was a little bit more symmetrical. That's just me personally. I don't like the fact that it just looks a little bit off. It does feel better, which I guess overall that's probably what matters the most. But when you've got a device this beautiful and you're going to be looking at it, it's hard to not notice when you see the bottom of it. Look at that. Bitch, it's okay, Mother Truckers. Now with that being said, let's go and get back to regular view, son. My final summation is this: the Asmodus Kodama Lustro is fucking beautiful. It is unnecessary for something to be this pretty and be so, I guess, logical or pragmatic. I mean, look, at the end of the day, there are people who are gonna buy high-end versions of everything. It doesn't matter if it's a camera, doesn't matter if it's a car, doesn't matter if it's a computer, doesn't matter what it is. They're gonna buy the high-end versions of everything. This is intended specifically for the collector. The Lustro mod, the old school regular ass Lustro mod was a great mod. It mixes a little bit of the logistics into this bad boy. You think about something being high end, you want that thing to have everything in it. This has everything in it. It's got a fucking flashlight, which is unnecessary, but I like the fact that it exists. The smoothness, the craftsmanship in these devices, not just the Lustro Kodama, all of the Kodamas. The craftsmanship, it's hard to put into words. When you're holding this device, you know you're holding something special. It's not something to where you hold it and you forget what you're holding. That's all of Asmodus' devices. That's also why I've always liked Asmodus. Look how pretty that purple is. Stabilized wood devices, not just Asmodus, but all of them, are gorgeous pieces of work in my humble opinion. It's just fucking phenomenal. Now, of course, it does have those weird downsides. I know Matt brought it up in his review, and I was thinking the same shit. I was like, I wonder if mine's the only one that's not symmetrical. If you have a thing, if you got OCD with it, then this is not the device for you. And I don't know if it has to do with the actual plate itself or if it has to do with the battery placement or why they did that. I'm sure there's a reason, but it's not something where you notice when it's in your hand. In fact, if anything, it's more comfortable if you fire it like this. I have a love for fancy shit like that. I have a love for flashy gear. It doesn't matter what it is. I don't wear like jewelry and shit, but if I did, it would be super flashy. My watches generally tend to be flashy. I don't mean them to be. It's more for me than anybody else. Even my fucking pocket knives, I like them to be pretty. You feel me? Look at that shit. It's gorgeousness. Bitches, now with that being said, on a scale of 1 to 10, this was going to be hard to place because it's a high-end device. Everything that it should have, it's got. And it does a good job of doing it, except for, like I said, it was finicky with the chip, with the touch screen, the IR sensor, all that stuff that's unnecessary. If they just added 2 extra buttons, it'd be fucking easier. Scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to go ahead and give this bad boy an 8.5. I could give it a little bit higher, but that's kind of cheating. I mean, they fucking went through all the work to fucking hand make that shit. So look at that. Look how beautiful that is. You could say that the workmanship on here is a 9, 9.5. But when I'm adding in the logistics of it, the practicality of it, it's not the world's most practical device, but that's all right. Bitch, it just feels nice. The button is so clicky. The screen's bright, the screen's beautiful, the color on it is sexy. Even the box that it comes in is fucking awesome. Like, it just feels high end. If you're looking to buy an experience, this is the device to do it on. Bitch, it's okay, Smother Truckers. Now, with that being said, do I recommend this device? Absolutely, if you want to get into collecting. If you don't like shit just sitting on your shelf looking pretty, then don't purchase it. It's that simple. Bitch, it's okay, Smother Truckers. Now, with that being said, I want to tell y'all that I appreciate y'all for vaping with Thesis. It is your boy Thesis. I'm out.